live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, and welcome to the program. I'm sorry it's starting a little bit later than usual, and also my eyes are closed because... Is it over?
It's over.
Usually that happens on Tuesdays, the monthly fire alarm test. Okay. Sorry. Ooh. Just like a woman, always apologizing. Really, I wonder if you kept track of how often in a day you said sorry. For some people, it would be off the charts, and those people would be females. I mean, I find myself saying it and if I actually ask myself, why are you apologizing? You have no reason to apologize. And I would agree. I have no reason to apologize, but I'm still saying sorry. And often I'm saying sorry when the person I'm saying sorry to should be saying sorry. What is that? Anyway. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sorry or not that Cruz dropped out. Surprised me. But, and I wish Bernie would take a note from Cruz's book. Wow, guys. You know, there's that phrase, be careful what you wish for. And as you know, I was wishing this, that Trump would be the Republican nominee, and quite clearly he will be the Republican nominee. And now I'm just left with a cold kind of terror and still a measure of disbelief. So we now are the only thing standing between Donald Trump and the White House. We the people. And man, let's hope see, I don't trust any of what the polls say anymore, what any of it says. The usual people that we would invariably think knew what was happening, and so we would listen to their wise words. They have pretty much been sidelined in this particular election cycle because it is unlike any other and has resulted in a nominee unlike any other. That's true for the Democrats as well. If Hillary is, and she will be, the nominee, that is the first party to nominate a woman to run for president of these United States. The other party has nominated an egomaniac buffoon. Who's going to win? No candidate ever, at least since we have, I guess, modern kind of polling. So we'll assume at least in the last 100 years, actually more, no candidate since the dawn of modern polling has entered a general election with the sort of totally toxic image that Donald Trump presents to huge swaths of the American populace. But of course, he is desired by a large minority, we hope, and their passion trumps, perhaps, the less passionate fear, I think, he engenders in so many. I don't know what... I think anyone who says he can't win has not learned anything in the last 6-7 months. That's what everyone was saying throughout, ever since he, announced he can't win, 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 he can't win. And not only did he keep winning, but he kept winning bigger and bigger and bigger. So that I had to haul out a word I haven't hauled out in a million years in a political campaign at this level: juggernaut. And juggernauts are, usually if you're a juggernaut, you're unstoppable. The only person who can stop him is a woman with a bunch of negatives to deal with of her own. So you have both parties with nominees who are not... I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Stop and think of how yesterday morning, before we knew it was a done deal, although, you could suspect it, but before Cruz had said, all right, I give up, before it was acknowledged that Trump had it, stop and think of the tenor of the debate on the Republican side. Do you remember? It's just 24 hours ago. Donald Trump was suggesting that Ted Cruz's father was somehow in cahoots with Lee Harvey Oswald. There is, if you've seen the picture, a lot of people say the picture does, who knows with pictures now? Things can be photoshopped. However, it's conceivable that, the father is a piece of work. And he did fight with Fidel before he decided he didn't like him anymore and came to the U.S. So who the hell knows? But, okay, so here is the nominee of the Republican Party suggesting that his opponent for that nomination's father was somehow culpable or on the fringes of the Kennedy assassination. Actually, if you heard Trump's words, it was bizarre. It was like he forgot Kennedy's name or something. Did you read the quote, or did you see him say it? Here's what he said. Trump, your next possible president. He said, Cruz's father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being, shot. That's not what he meant to say. Isn't that odd? He wasn't prior to him being shot. If you want to, yes, but prior to him assassinating, maybe, JFK. What was he doing with Lee Harvey Oswald shortly before the death? Donald says. What death? It's so weird that he didn't say Kennedy. It's like he couldn't think of his name. And then after he says that, he says, before the shooting. I find that weird. And then Cruz, of course, went ballistic. And I guess, by the way, did you see Cruz almost knock his wife out last night? God, was that funny. So I guess it's after his concession speech when he's pulling out and he hugs her at the end. A long hug. And then, look it up. And then I can't quite, it looked first like as he pulled away from her and turned, his elbow like caught her right in the face. And he didn't react at all to that. Just like he didn't react the other day when Carly Fiorina literally fell off the stage. Did you see that one? There's Carly, and then she's not there. She fell off the stage. And he's right there, and he doesn't in any way react. So anyway, so Cruz then says this. I'm going to do something I haven't done for the entire campaign. I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. And then, all hell broke loose. Beyond pathological liar, he said, listen, Donald Trump is a serial philanderer, and he boasts about it. I want everyone to think about your teenage kids. The President of the United States talks about how great it is to commit adultery. I mean, see, that's even a step down from Bill Clinton. At least he denied it and then said he was sorry when he got caught. Trump revels in it. How proud he is, says Cruz, describes his battles with venereal disease as his own personal Vietnam, which he did. Trump, your next president. I know our heads tell us that with all of the stuff that Trump has said and done in the past, that there is no way he can win the presidency. That the American people getting bombarded with video of the Donald doing what the Donald does and saying what the Donald has said, that the American people simply will not allow him to become the president of the United States. But I don't know how much reason has had to do with his rise. I don't think it's had much to do with it at all. It's emotion. And Hillary does not provide a lot of emotion, but Trump does. We're an emotional people now. We're a self-indulgent, emotional people who don't cotton to thinking too much. And then we have the Republican Party. As soon as I found out that Cruz had dropped out, I did something I don't normally do, but I'm glad I did. I turned to Fox News. And it happened to be Hannity's show. And I got to tell you, there was a parade of people on that show. One Republican after another, and they were pretty much fallen in line behind their putative nominee, Donald Trump, including ones that had freaked out just a month or two ago at the possibility of Trump heading their ticket. The one I happened to see who was the most extraordinary turnaround was Bobby Jindal, former governor of Louisiana, who I didn't bother to look up the quotes that he had made about Donald Trump, but they weren't particularly nice. And there he was. He was in line. He was thinking of all the possibilities of President Trump actually working. Work could be okay. Reince Priebus, the head of the RNC, he's absolutely behind Trump. They are falling in line behind him. So, thus, a guy named Henry Olson, who is with a Republican think tank, is quoted as saying, "I am watching a 160-year-old political party commit suicide." Not really. That's what I've decided. Not really. You could have said that with the Goldwater nomination, right? And the result. Well, the Republican Party didn't commit suicide because God knows we've been dealing with them long after Goldwater. And then you could have said that the Democratic Party committed suicide with McGovern. But no, we didn't. We came back and there was Bill Clinton, 8 years. Barack Obama, 8 years. So parties recover. And I think that something will come of this, and it will be a different Republican Party. It could be worse. It could be a worse party, if that's possible. Or it could be two parties. Who the hell knows? But thinking Republicans must just be... Are there thinking Republicans? I think so. A few here and there. Here is a guy that just, he's been ridiculed by almost everyone with any leadership position in the Republican Party. Ridiculed. And now they're going to get behind him? Wow. So just watch. It's going to be extraordinary to watch these Republicans decide that Donald Trump, not only is he their nominee, but come to think of it, I think he'll make a fine president of these United States. God. So, let me get to some of your emails, and then I want to talk about Hillary and Bernie. Because Bernie's going to keep winning stuff. And it's not going to change anything, except it will make it is true, a lot harder for the party to pull together to take on Trump. And I wish... I'm of two minds. Bernie has every right to do what he's doing. But now that we see who the Democratic nominee will run against, I do think Hillary is a better candidate to run against him simply by virtue of the fact of her resume. Because if there's one thing that can scare the hell out of people, it's that Trump doesn't have a clue. Doesn't have a clue. And Bernie hasn't shown himself to be too good on anything but the domestic message of inequality, which is a hell of a message, but it ain't the whole picture. And Bernie's sort of lost when it comes to foreign policy as well. And other domestic issues. He seems lost. He's an ideologue. He's been carrying his socialist banner all his life. God bless him. And he finally, late in his career, has had this extraordinary opportunity, which he grabbed. Others could have. The old guy grabbed it. Not Elizabeth Warren, not some others younger who maybe could have been seen as a better candidate. Bernie grabbed it. And he blew people away. And he has put the Democratic Party on notice, just as Donald Trump has put the Republican Party on notice. The faithful, that's a misnomer now. The Democrats don't have a lot of faithful. They got a lot of pissed off people that vote for them. And the Republicans don't have a lot of faithful when it comes to the party. The parties are both corrupted and reviled. And I really don't think Hillary and her crowd get it. And once they get the nomination, I don't know that they'll remember it. I think the arrogance of people at their level is such that they just care about the win, and once they have the win, on they go. So I got a feeling the Democrats have some real battles ahead within the party. That's my guess. And I think is it still true that you win elections in this country in the middle? That's one of the truisms that still has to be tested. That truism gets tested in the national election, in the general election in November. If that's true, then Hillary is a winner. But is it still true? What do we know? Here's some emails. Chuck writes, unless I missed it, I do not believe Cruz mentioned Trump in his concession speech last night. I didn't see his speech, so I don't know. However, Trump couldn't say enough nice things about Cruz last night. Only hours after Cruz called Trump a pathological liar, a serial adulterer, a braggart about his venereal diseases, and a narcissist. Trump preached party unity in his speech. But how can Cruz ever endorse Trump? We'll see. It would be wildly hypocritical for Cruz to even vote for Trump in November, let alone endorse him. Well, he could endorse him just to keep, some standing in the party that hates his guts, and then actually not vote for him. How often do you think that happens? If somebody comes out and endorses a candidate and then, in fact, does not vote for him? I bet it happens more than you might think. Denise writes, if John McCain endorses Trump after everything that Trump said about McCain and his service, then perhaps Trump was right about him. McCain hasn't endorsed him yet, huh? No. Denise says heroes usually have integrity. Well, that's open to debate. That's why I'm sorry for the pause. I was thinking heroes. Well, because a person can become a hero in a split second, right? It's how it is. Might be just a reaction where self-preservation falls away, and you do something totally altruistic that endangers your life and maybe save a bunch of lives or whatever. Then that person is, we say, a hero. But that person could have been a crook. I don't know if they had. I don't know that hero and integrity necessarily go together. People are complicated. I would be stunned if John McCain endorses Trump. And I think you will see so many Republican office holders not even attending the convention, although many of them are delegates. And I think they're going to have to go if you're a delegate. But this is going to be a very uncomfortable election for a lot of Republicans, really. And something I said to a friend the other day, and I've said it here before, months and months ago, all Donald Trump needs to potentially win is a terrorist attack here somewhere, like 3 weeks before the election. Because when Americans get scared, and when that fear is, ramped up, then a Trump can prevail. Caller, hi, go ahead.
Hey, Lynn, John from Greensburg. Hey, apropos of not much, I did just see a very funny meme with Ms. Fiorina with a picture of her looking outraged, and the caption, "What do you mean there's no severance package, Ted?"
Yeah, that didn't last long, did it?
Did she set a record, the shortest AP run ever?
Jeez.
Just under a week?
It was pretty, that was ridiculous.
That was just absurd. I don't understand either of their motivations in that one. But
well, I think ego has something to do with it, and a desire to be talked about, and then to be remembered as somebody who prevailed after all the others had fallen away. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Ego.
Speaking of ego, I'm growing rather disgusted with Mr. Sanders. I really am at this point. In Pennsylvania, I had the luxury that because of the way our primary balloting is set up, that I voted for Ms. Clinton because I recognized that, quite frankly, after Sanders lost in New York by 16 points, the type of wins he'd need, the type of performance he'd need to actually get the nomination is just extraordinary, and barring something really astounding happening,
and it ain't going to happen. Even his win yesterday, he gets pretty much the same. He gets the same pretty much they both split the delegates.
Yeah, he gained 5 delegates. The problem is he now needs an even higher, because he didn't get the percentage that he needed in Indiana. He would need an even somewhat greater percentage going forward. And
he can't.
There's a primary in Guam where Hillary Clinton will win overwhelmingly. I mean, it's a U.S. territory or protectorate. I'm not sure which. And she'll make back those delegates and then some, because she'll win something like 80-20. But with the Pennsylvania primary, I voted for her because I thought I agree more with him on a lot of issues, but this election's over. Really, the nomination's over. But I did I split my vote among the delegates who were committed to Hillary and to Sanders, because Pennsylvania also has you vote for, it has the separate slate of delegates.
Yeah.
Because I wanted his message to be present and dealt with at the convention. If he was still going out there and saying, people, we're going forward, I want everyone to have their vote, everyone who wants to vote for me gets to vote for me, I'm not suspending the campaign, I want to make sure people are hearing the message, that's one thing. He's still talking about getting the nomination.
Well, I think he does that so that he can keep his...
So he can raise money.
Well, so that he can, stay in the game.
And I'm sorry, if you're telling people if you're raising money off telling people something that you know
isn't going to happen.
True.
Yeah,
that's fraud.
Well, it's politics.
And here's something else. I mean, I think he's doing nothing but hurting the Democratic Party's chances in November. He
ain't helping at this point.
This whole bit about him suggesting the superdelegates should. By the way, I don't like the concept of superdelegates.
No,
I just think that's rather odious. But his suggestion that they should flip to him and give him the nomination ultimately, when he's going to wind up with probably a couple million fewer votes and lose the pledged delegates, I'm like, well, Bernie, I thought you were the man of the people who wants the will of the people done.
Well, look, I don't even think if some of those delegates do flip, he can't do it. The numbers don't add
up. Well, yeah, even if the superdelegates voted, even if they did what he suggested and voted with their states, he loses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, yeah, he's whatever. Look, this is his. Stop and think. He's been carrying this message all his life. He finally has a huge audience. The message is going over well. Yeah, I can understand his not wanting to lose the bully pulpit he has.
I understand, and there's a lot of rants and things about the Clinton campaign and
the Clintons
and the associations that stink to high heaven to me.
Yeah.
I assure you of that.
Yeah, me too.
But I do think Senator Sanders' ego has gotten the better of him.
Yeah.
And I also think, quite frankly, he kind of digs, after being a backbencher senator from a tiny state for 30 years,
being
he kind of likes, traveling first
Well, who
class
wouldn't?
and having huge crowds chanting his
Who
name.
wouldn't? Who wouldn't? I mean, that's not... Who the hell wouldn't? It would be such a trip, so seductive. He's a human being. I like the old fart, but I wish he would stop it now.
But here's the thing, Hillary, she didn't spend time or money in Indiana. Polling still favored her, but I think there were some demographic polls that favored Bernie, just almost by about the
He spent over $1 million there. She spent nothing. She spent nothing, and
it does look bad. Like, she can't lose New Jersey or California.
No, I think she's got to step it up, and just put him away. That's what she has to do. They keep talking about she's got to pivot to the general. There's plenty of time for the Dem general, but I think if Bernie's true to his word, and I think he might be, he wants to take this to the convention, so there might be no getting rid of him, but at least beat him better.
Well, what does that mean, taking the convention? Taking the convention...
Well, he's got to be... Because he's got to be heard from. No. He can negotiate a big spot at the convention, have one final hurrah. You got a whole bunch of people in that hall that'll be for him and have worked hard for him. And I think he wants to play this out. So I hear what you're saying, but he's got every right to do what he's doing.
Oh,
he
has
does.
every right to do it.
Yeah.
I do think, like I said, I don't think this bit about talking about winning the nomination is honest.
Okay. No, I don't think it is either. Although, again, with everything that's going on, he could be, a little delusional, like people who are having an incredible ride
Even like Ted Cruz and Carlos Fiorina.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing.
But they were both still delusional.
Well, I think so.
Oh, it's John Kasich.
Okay. All right. Hey, John, thank you for the call.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye. Ansel writes, I saw Bill O'Reilly on Colbert the other night, and Colbert asked him to explain the Trump phenomenon. O'Reilly said that Trump supporters are not Republican per se. There's plenty of Democrats in there. Rather, they are people who are not happy with the Republican Party as it is, nor as it has been, and they want to blow it up. He said Trump's followers are not people who necessarily agree with the party platform. Rather, they are people who actually disagree with it. Well, they disagree with parts of it, yeah. He said Trump tapped into a unique niche of the party. Ansel thinks this was pretty insightful. I don't know. He obviously tapped into something. I mean, he struck oil. He sure did. He lanced something. And that something has a life of its own now and is sort of gathering up a lot of, unhappy people. And our media and Republicans, mostly, have been telling Americans come on, incessantly and forever, that they have every reason to be miserable. Right? That's what news is. Misery. That's what news is. Terror. Fear. Someone's got a leg up on you. This isn't going your way. Look at the job. Whatever. The constant. Maybe Trump is exactly what one should expect, given where we have metamorphosized into what? This entertainment culture, this consumerist culture, this capitalism triumphant culture. In that regard, the fact that you got this capitalist, Donald Trump, heading the Republicans, and a great race by a socialist, an anti-capitalist, for the Democrats. I don't pretend to know what any of this means. We can't see the forest for the trees right now. We're in the middle of it. I mean, every once in a while you get a glimpse that seems, but no one knows. The dust hasn't settled. And there's still, how many months we got? We got May, June, July, August, September, October. We got 6.5 months before this totally plays out. God help us. And all I can say, and all I will be saying ad nauseum to Democrats, it doesn't matter what the polls are going to say. It doesn't matter what anybody's saying. You cannot not vote this year. And you cannot not vote for Hillary. When I was watching Fox last night, that is the message that these guys who don't really like Trump but are now getting in line, they're echoing the same thing I just said, only rather than the specter of President Trump that I'm proffering to motivate you to get to the polls, they are saying, you gotta vote for him, otherwise you'll have President Clinton. And think what she'll do to the Supreme Court. Same thing. So you will have an election in which people are going to be propelled to the polls not because they like who they're voting for as much as because they fear the other. Joanne wants to know, does anyone know if Dick Cheney or his daughter have commented? No. And you know what, Joanne? I don't care. My guess would be Dick Cheney despises, loathes, and is appalled by Donald Trump, if only because Trump has said the one of the things Trump said that is true is he has belittled the Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, neocon war in Iraq. He has. No Republican wanting the nomination of the party would ever say such a thing. And he sure as hell did. And I don't believe it hurt him a bit. So Cheney would despise him. My understanding is the politically ambitious, vile daughter is running again in Wyoming for maybe a congressional seat. I have a vague memory of having read that somewhere, I think. Okay, just a few other things on this. God almighty. I mean, a lot of people keep saying, the so-called opposition research that a campaign does on their opponent. I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel with Donald Trump. How much research do you have to do? It's been all out there. Here is a guy who was calling Barack Obama, what? A Kenyan? What? He wasn't an American. I mean, the fact that Trump just a few years ago he was the major guy touting the lie, the big lie, that Barack Obama was not an American. And we're going to elect a guy who traffics in just bold-faced lies. Bald-faced lies, too. We're going to elect that guy to represent us to the world? Oh, dear God. Think of what he said about immigrants. Think of what he said about Hispanics. Think about what he said about Muslim Americans. Think about what he said, God. I mean, all these things you would think, well, of course, we're going to be able to knock him off like this. Don't assume that. You're using your head. Heads don't seem to work anymore. All right, so I think Clinton also has to step it up and make Bernie look less appealing. I really do. By the way, if you care about these friggin' polls, early polls show that Trump will have a hard time taking Pennsylvania, which surprises me. And right here in our little neck of the woods, this is an NBC Marist poll, but this is before the battle's been joined. It does show Clinton leading in western Pennsylvania, which I am surprised at. As you know, Romney won western Pennsylvania big time, but that we know because we're racists. All us white voters here didn't vote for, I'm not saying us, all of us, but didn't vote for Obama. Did not. But apparently they might vote for Clinton over Trump. I don't know. I don't know about that. And Trump trails Clinton right now. I don't know that it matters. By 30 points in the Philly suburbs. And with those huge population centers, that it's up to us here in Allegheny County, and it's up to them in Philadelphia County and Bucks County, and other intrepid souls scattered among the rednecks in the rest of the state. We need to make sure that Pennsylvania does not go to Donald Trump. Hard work we need to do. Oh, God, okay. Headline, New York Times, editorial page. It's Mr. Trump's party now. Way to go, Republicans. Fine. You schooled your people well. You did. And then the Wall Street Journal, of course, had another. They've been running the same op-ed written by different people almost every day. And it is that Donald Trump is the reason for Donald Trump's success is Barack Obama's failure. They say, the Wall Street Journal keeps trying to tell America, you don't like Donald Trump? I'll tell you who created him. Barack Obama. Well, you know, he did create a lot of jobs, and he's just trying to create one for the Donald. He's not, given to discrimination. Let's talk about something else. I'm sick of the horse race. Not, but looking forward to the Kentucky Derby. For some reason, I get into the Kentucky Derby every year, and then the possibility of the Triple Crown. And of course, I've been horribly disappointed year after year after year after year until last year and that gorgeous stud American Pharaoh. Well, so American Pharaoh, where is he now? Well, there's a great story in the sports section of the New York Times today about American Pharaoh's life now. I'm just going to read you a few sentences. He has put on some weight, 170 pounds to be exact, since sauntering off the racetrack and into what has to be the sweetest retirement in sports. But he carries it well. There are no love handles, and his rich bay coat looks barely able to contain the muscles rippling beneath it. His day starts at sunup with a breakfast of high-end organic grains. And then his work starts in earnest at 7:30 each morning. That's when American Pharaoh hooks a left out of the stallion barn and ambles down the path to the breeding shed. Waiting for him is a lucky mare. So it turns out that for every mare I love this term. This is every mare he mounts. First of all, you know what it costs? If you have a mare you want him to do it to, you can't just be any old mare. Even if you have the money, they ain't gonna let him at your mare. You have to be of a royal pedigree. You have to be an accomplished racehorse yourself. And you have to have $200,000. So, 3 times a day, he services a different mare. Think of that. So that's $600,000 a day he is making for his owners, and apparently enjoying himself immensely. When you pay the $200,000, you are paying, and this is the term I love, you're paying American Pharaoh to cover the mare. That's the verb they use. Cover the mare. Now, I guess when you mount a mare, you're covering her, whatever. But I don't think you pay if she doesn't get pregnant. I don't know. No, that couldn't be, because what if it was her issue? Anyway, he's had a hell of a run. Almost every mare he's covered has been impregnated. So yeah, he does this morning date, and then he rolls around in like these flower-covered pastures, maybe romps a little bit with another stud or two, and then he has a little lunch, and then he goes back gets a second date, another mare, And then sometimes he does it a third time at 6 p.m., although not always. So 3 a day. And they point out in the article that just because a guy wins the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness and Belmont in the same year does not mean he's going to be a great stud. You can be fast, but... And you know what? There's all these histories of, as a matter of fact, his own father, his sire, was named Pioneer of the Nile. And when he went to stud, he was a bit of a, I don't know. First of all, they said he was a diva. He insisted on having peppermints to eat before, and he required a whiff of pheromone from a cup of thawed mare urine to rouse him. And then he would, not quite do the deed. He would break away. I think they say here, he was prone to false starts, rocking back on his hind legs once, twice, as many as 4 times before finally covering the mare. So that's American Pharaoh's father. But American Pharaoh apparently has no such trouble. There's a story they tell of some Japanese investors who put down a ton of money on a Preakness Stakes winner, War Emblem. They bought him for $18 million and then figured, the stud fees, we're going to make so much money. And you know what? They brought him back to Japan, and you know what they found out? War Emblem, well, he didn't like girls. They tried everything, they said. They tried all kinds of unorthodox therapies. They probably tried to make him a born-again Christian so he might come around. I don't know. They did whatever, but it didn't work. He was not interested in girls. And then there was another one, Cigar, who died in 2014. He was the sport's leading money winner when he retired. I mean, he was just a hugely prolific horse in that regard. But they put him out to stud, expected to make a ton of money off him. Turns out, sterile. So American Pharaoh, just wanted to update, is continuing to prove to be a real winner. He has been polite. Everybody loves him. They're sold out, the stable, for 3 months. People wait for a tour of the stable where you get to see him. So they're making money from tourists coming in. They're making money with the stud fees. And they say this animal is just the sweetest animal there is, which was everybody said about him when he was winning and running. He was saying he's just the most laid back, happy, extraordinary animal. It says here he's been polite, determined, and efficient. He has a better than 80% strike rate when it comes to successfully conceiving a foal. So none of his offspring are yet up and running, but the next thing will be to see if he's passing on his prowess at the racetrack when he covers these mares. American Pharaoh. I'm glad he's happy. Jen writes, I'm one of the few who think or thought Bill Clinton was behind Trump's run, not for the presidency, but to destroy the Republican Party like they destroyed him. It all makes sense to me. You still think? Well, I'm sure there will be people who will say, especially if she clobbers the hell out of him, that this was all the Clintons doing. They picked Trump, somehow orchestrated, his... I mean, come on. Trump didn't know he was going to do what he ended up doing. The Clintons sure as hell didn't know. Nobody knew. Nobody. But it'll be a real test of character of a lot of public figures in the political realm when we see what they do with this Trump candidacy. It'll be interesting to see who refuses, even if he's their party standard bearer, to have anything to do with helping him become the president of the United States. It'll be interesting. I'm not expecting a lot, but, it could be. Could be. All right. And something I've been hanging on to for a long time here, and I'll just get it so I can throw it out. The oldest tree in the world, do you know is in the United States? Surprising, maybe. I don't know. Now, first of all, I'm sure every tree in the world has not necessarily been cataloged by a scientist, but they think the oldest tree in the world is right here in the U.S., and they won't tell anybody where it is. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Lynn?
Yes.
Hey, I'm just catching the end of your show, and I don't know how much you've been on it. You're probably sick of talking about it, but I just wanted to say that I think that with regards to the logic that you're hearing from people who support that guy, I have a couple of observations.
Can you not bring yourself to say Trump?
Well, can we just do like a Voldemort thing with him?
Okay, all right. Whose name?
I'm sick of saying the name. And I was talking with my girlfriend last night. My mom was in the hospital. I went to visit her. We're talking. She had the TV on. Turns out she's a Trump voter, and I just had the wind knocked out of me. And I tried to be polite. I don't think I was very polite, and I felt really bad about it.
Your mom's in the hospital, and you were berating her for...
Yeah, I know, what a jerk. And I stopped myself, and she was, anyway, she's gracious. She's an intelligent, gracious person, but I was like, she's like, well, I'm like, why? And she's like, he's so direct. And I'm like, I've supported him from the beginning. Anyway, point is that, and this is the ridiculous stuff, but what I've also been running into is something that I think I like to call an easy cynicism, sort of a facile cynicism that I'm running into. Mm-hmm. People saying it doesn't matter, and it doesn't, pox in both their houses, this kind of thing. And I think that I'm sorry?
I didn't say anything. I'm absolutely agreeing with you. And that is where our work is cut out. We have got to take the facile cynics and knock their heads into the wall sometime between now and November and make them understand what's at stake here.
And to that point, and I know that you're wrapping, and I'll make this utterly quick, is that what I've been saying so far, and I've been mostly preaching to the choir, but what I've been saying so far is it's like I point out all the disasters that haven't happened, all the things. It's like the doctor's oath of first do no harm, and I think that's the president's oath, is to first do no harm. And I said, remember those missiles we launched on the Soviet Union? Remember, and they're like, well, I said, who he or she picks to be in any given position is, and it's like the smarter the person, the more careful and cautious who they pick to be in any given position. And I'm like, and I just started throwing out examples. I'm like, you don't have Robert McNamara down in the Cuban Missile Crisis stopping the generals from launching on the Soviet fleet.
Yep.
So.
Well, I hear you, but you can never, people really don't pay attention to the things that didn't happen. You can't, hard to take credit for it. Really hard to take credit for the fact that, I think we're really making inroads against like ISIS, and to hear like Trump talk about it, it's, we're doing nothing. It's just maddening because, I don't know what to say. But God, you got to talk your mom around. If you said she's intelligent.
First, I need to go to a psychiatrist, and get on some heavy drugs because
that might be
because it's hard for me to control. The emotions stir up. My brain goes to the wind.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, and I become the opposite of what I need to be in that moment.
That's right, because we're not going to turn anybody around by screaming at them, by telling them they're stupid, by any of that. You got to be, I don't know how rational we need to be. Everybody needs to come up with a little speech that will scare the person they're dealing with enough. I mean, like even just the Supreme Court, that's always a good place to go, because if your mother values certain things, then tell her what a Trump populated Supreme Court would do to her life. I mean, things like that.
He's a conservative, but but with people who are towards my side of things. But the other thing is, Rep Maddow had on that commercial about the guy coming on talking about Goldwater, and he's a Republican, and she actually had him on her show. He's still alive, and he's the one that comes on and says, I'm a lifelong Republican, I can't vote for Goldwater, and he lays out a case, and the case he lays out is cookie cutter to this guy, to
Trump,
this creature. Trump.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
That you don't want this shoot from the hip, shoot from the lip guy in the most sensitive situation a person can be in. God help us. Well, okay, let's all get your drugs, and we all have our marching orders now. We got work to do.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, that does close things out. I'm going over to the Pirate game because we got to beat the Cubs at least once. And if there's anything I have to say about it, we're going to beat them starting in just a few hours, okay? All right. See you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.